Hello, everybody. Welcome to Elevate Us. This is Elevating Black America, coming up with solutions. Let's not just talk about it, let's be about it. So we are like really on the road right now to figure out how we gonna get Black America on the right path. I said America, Black America on the right path. To self sufficiency. We need to come up under this. Honestly, I've been saying this. We still act like we're in slavery, although we're not. So we need to come out of that mindset of being slaves, and we need to get onto, like I said, the road of figuring out what's next, what's our next steps, where do we go from here. So today I have a guest with me, and let me introduce you guys to Jamie. What's up? Say hey.
Hey, what's going on?
So excited. He's my first guest, so I'm really excited to have him in here today. So we just gonna we gonna talk about a couple things. But before we do that, I'm gonna, first of all, I'm gonna hit you with the question of the day. I like to do that first, and then we're gonna talk about a current event that I think everybody needs to be made aware of. So the question of the day is, do you know how to balance your ego? Yeah, we're talking about the ego today.
Okay.
So what do you, when I ask that question, like, what do you think when I say balance your ego?
Balancing your ego is, to me, stepping outside yourself and being able to see the world from a broader perspective, seeing it as bigger than you, and then getting grounded in that. I think that the beginning stages of anything is acknowledgement, um,
Mm-hmm.
self actualization, understanding who you are as an individual, and then recognizing that there's an issue,
Mm.
recognizing that you are operating in a high level of ego or what they call overactive ego.
Mm.
So I mean that can come in the form of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
That can come in the form of affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just all about how you come into your own self discovery, and then what resonates most with you.
Nice. So prolific. I'm gonna let him introduce himself in just a bit here after we get past this.
All right.
So, when I think about ego, I think it's like you have to have that balance because ego can be good and ego can be bad. If you don't have ego, then you don't have self worth. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to be your own cheerleader. You got to be able to boost yourself up, and you got to have that self confidence within yourself to push yourself forward to do the things that you need to do, and understanding that nobody's gonna save you. So it's like you gotta really appreciate yourself and value the things that you
Right.
do and the things that you accomplish. And sometimes you gotta talk high about yourself. It's okay. But then when you get so high into your ego, then that's when it can become toxic, because then you start thinking that you better than others, or you doing things better than other
Mm-hmm.
people, or you hold more knowledge, or you have more wisdom than the next person. This person ain't on your level. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to know how to have that balance and be right there in that midway. So that way, you, like I said, you your own cheerleader, but you're not like trying to bring others down on that road of bringing yourself up. So
Absolutely.
yeah, if you put in the comments, you guys, what you think balancing your ego looks like, and and let me see what you guys got to say about that. So, and then just really quick, something that I was looking at on the news today.
Hmm.
So, I don't know if a lot of people watch CNN as much as I do, but I think as a black community, we need to start being a little bit more aware. I know a lot of times people say, well, I don't watch the news because it's depressing, but you have to watch the news because you have to know what's going on. While we're asleep, they're signing orders, they're doing all kinds of things, they're putting all these different processes in place that we don't pay attention to because we don't want to watch the news. But in March 9th, 2022, President Biden, he signed Executive Order 14067. So what that is the CBDC. It's the Central Bank Digital Currencies. All right. So what's that going to do is it's going to give the Federal Reserve the right to track your money. So you're going to get a card from the Federal Reserve. It's going to be like a debit card, but everything you get will now go on that card. Your paycheck will go on that card, your social security, your child support, whatever it is you're getting, all your money goes on that card. And they're going to start a program pretty soon here I was just talking to Jamie. He's going to go a little bit deeper into that,
Hmm.
where they're going to start confiscating the dollar bills. So we're going to get ushered into a world now where there's not going to be any paper currency. So we're going to be on just a digital platform. So give me your feedback on that real quick.
It's funny because I actually was kind of going over that and trying to understand that. Kind of went over it a little bit with my little brother and
Mm-hmm.
my sister, and so basically, like you were saying, so the pilot program where the Federal Reserve is actually going to start this process is going to start in July, um, and basically, in a nutshell, what's going to happen is it's a power play. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely a power grab in the sense that there's so many different things that is limiting their ability um, to actually have control, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw it with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Bitcoin's been around for a while,
Mm-hmm.
but it kind of really became at the forefront right shortly after the uh, the COVID. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? That
Yep.
happened out in 2020. And what separates Bitcoin's digital currency from the one that they're trying to roll out now is the fact that it operates off a blockchain,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
And they can't see nothing.
right, well, they have the ability to see it. They just can't control it.
Mm.
You know, it's what's called decentralized.
Yes.
We have Web3.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing that's decentralized, and basically it puts the power in the hands of the consumer,
Mm-hmm.
in the way that we can do transactions and do business. So it's basically a lot of the things that's going on right now is to kind of offset that,
Yeah.
and then put the power back into their hands.
Mm-hmm.
China has done it, and they've been able to do it. So, like, if you want to kind of see what's really going on and the potential of what this can be, you definitely can look at China and
Mm-hmm.
see the way that they do it, as far as how they have it structured, and some of the policies that they've been able to implement based off of that,
Yep.
and being able to keep control
Yeah.
over their citizens. I think the most alarming thing that I saw with the centralized banking is their ability to expire
Mm.
your
Yes.
your currency, which basically means that if right now they were to release that currency,
Mm-hmm.
they can say, "Hey, look, in 3 months, it's a use it or lose it type of
Yeah.
thing," and
That
it
was the
limits.
part that got me.
Right, yeah. Basically, limiting an individual's way of being able to save, and being able to kind of like take themselves and transition from one classification into another classification. The ability to say, "Hey, look, you have X amount of time to go to the grocery store,"
Mm-hmm.
and I think, for businesses, I think for GDP, as far as the government, just kind of looking at it from that perspective, that can play into a good thing in the fact that it gives them another way of um, being able to control uh, GDP.
Mm-hmm.
It helps them curve inflation,
Yeah.
kind of like what they tried to do with quantitative easing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think,
But it takes our rights and our freedoms away from us.
right,
And then we're going to have two classes of people. We're going to have the wealthy and we're going to have the poor, because if the middle class doesn't have that ability to save their money, it's going to put them in a position where they're going to, always be stuck in a loop, so to say.
right.
So it's like either you got to be wealthy to survive on this system, or you're going to fall into the poor class of people. So it's really scary to me that they're going to have that much control over the money that we have, and they can see every transaction that we make,
Hmm.
and to me, I feel like Biden this was like probably the first thing he wanted to do when he got into office, because remember at the beginning of the pandemic everybody was hustling, we was all making money, and immediately went after Cash App, and he immediately went after Zelle, and he wanted to regulate these financial establishments, because he wanted to know like how much money people were making. Like, like they want to know your side hustles and they want to know all the money, you know what I'm saying? Like where all the money is coming from, So I feel like that they put this in place because they don't want to give people that opportunity to be able to like really, without being in their tax systems. They want you to be completely engulfed in their tax system. So they don't want us making side money. So,
Right.
so it's a scary thing, so
So let me ask you this, and and you reading that, and coming to that understanding, like what was your first thought to kind of like I guess get around that?
like I'm gonna have to start looking into cryptocurrency, and then hard
Yeah.
assets, gonna have to get gold and silver again. But how feasible is that? Because, we can always go trade it in and do things with it, but it's like they regulate that too, so it's like every gold purchase you make, you have to, because I have gold, and you have to go give social security number, you have to go register and all this other stuff. So anytime they could be like, oh yeah, we know you got gold, we know how much gold you got because we already saw how much you bought, you know what I'm saying?
Right, but I think with gold, they recognize the power of gold in the fact that it has that intrinsic value.
Mm-hmm.
That no matter where you go in the world, an ounce is an ounce.
Yeah,
You know what
that's
I mean?
true.
So, I think that's still a viable source to kind of go with,
Yeah.
silver, gold, um, and then of course, crypto.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but from what I was reading, the BRICS alliance, with their establishing, they're actually going to back their version of their coin with
Mm-hmm.
gold.
Now tell my listeners what the BRICS Alliance is, because you just taught this to me. I didn't even know, and then I had to go home and research the whole thing. So tell them what the BRICS is.
So the BRICS alliance is, it was actually, the idea and the concept was actually, uh, by a guy. I believe he was an executive with Goldman Sachs, I believe. And it really didn't even start out that way. It
Mm-hmm.
was just one of those things where it was like, just kind of wanting to put the power back in the hands of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea was originally BRIC, right, which is Brazil, Russia, India, and China.
Mm-hmm.
And then
In South
somewhere,
Africa.
South Africa came to the table right around like 2009, 2010.
Okay.
And that for me, there's a big correlation between the BRICS alliance, mainly China and Russia,
Mm-hmm.
and then them starting the process with the de-dollarization
Mm-hmm.
in 2013, I believe, where the whole idea was to eliminate America's influence via the USD,
Mm-hmm.
out of both of those countries.
Yeah.
And from 2013 to 2019, I believe America had an influence as far as the U.S. currency, percentage wise, was a little over 90%. It was about 92, 93% influence.
Mm-hmm.
And then just in 6 years, it dropped from it dropped from that 92 to 93 all the way down to about around 31, 32%.
Mm.
And simultaneously, while pushing out the influence of the American dollar, both China and Russia were stacking up on their gold reserves,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, I mean, they were very intentional in the way that they did it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the people that I follow, there's a separation of it.
Mm-hmm.
But here lately, what I've been looking at is how all three of these different ideas and systems actually correlate together,
Yeah.
and then what that means.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I'm gonna have you come back, and we're gonna have to really dive into this, because I think people need to be educated on these topics, because we don't know, we're not paying attention to it, so much goes on behind the screen
right.
while we're out here worrying about getting to the club on Friday night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
So
was just talking to my little brother about that, because we got a cruise coming up, and I was like, sheesh, man, I think I might cancel that thing and just go ahead and buy me some gold.
yeah.
Because I do have so if you're gonna buy crypto,
Mm-hmm.
definitely make sure that you get you a hard wallet,
See, you're gonna have to educate me on crypto.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's funny because I had this little white guy I used to work with, and this was back in 2016, and he was like, buy some Bitcoin, and I was like, I don't know what that is. It's not tangible. I'm not buying that stuff. Do you know this dude? He made so much money with that purchase because at that time, of course, they were buying in for like, I don't even remember. It was like $1, I think, buying in. And
Oh,
then
this was
when
a while ago.
it was a while ago, when
Okay.
it hit, this dude made so much money, and I
Yeah.
was sick.
Oh yeah.
I was sick.
Yeah.
So I'm not getting left behind again. So I'm gonna get educated on that. So
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. My personal favorite, for one, XRP.
hmm
I definitely did a little deep dive in that. Right now, it's right around like 50 cents.
okay.
So I'm looking at XRP, and then I think I think a lot of people pay attention to Bitcoin a lot, mainly because it's the biggest. It's the face of crypto,
Yeah.
right? But when you talk about actually being able to implement crypto in varying ways,
hmm
smart contracts, NFTs, and stuff
Okay.
like that. I think the best way to go would be Ethereum and
hmm
anything that's built off of the Ethereum
Okay.
network. So
Because I had some guy, I listened to one guy, and he said Luna. You know, he said right now it's easy to buy in, and it's gonna be one that takes off too. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so y'all getting some real free good info right now. Y'all better be listening and paying attention. So, but we gotta talk about that on another show. I'm gonna bring you back.
Okay.
So we're gonna get
Yeah.
into our conversation, and I know we were talking about ego,
hmm
and it being the great divide. So last week I talked about religion being the great divide, but we had another topic, concerning ego. So first I just kind of want you to introduce yourself, because we just been talking and people don't know who you are yet.
Yeah.
So introduce yourself, and then we'll just jump into the conversation about the ego.
Okay. So Jamie. So I actually have a company that I'm starting out. Um, so I guess really this is my social media, uh, breakout
All right.
in a
Hey,
sense,
right here.
because I have my IG, um, for other reasons. I'm not too keen on social media.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sold on it. I get it from a business perspective,
Yeah.
services and stuff like that. But I didn't have the privilege of coming up with social media when it first cracked off. So I'm still trying to get to that point. But so yeah, so my business that I'm doing is called Black Silk.
Okay.
It's definitely something that's been in the making. Definitely appreciate platforms of where we met each other at.
Yes.
Coffee
And conversation.
Absolutely. I definitely appreciate that. It's just it's basically it's definitely opening me up to a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I'm a natural introvert, but so the idea of Black Silk is eliminating generational curses by inspiring generational health. For me, health is more than just physical.
Yeah.
It's mental, emotional, financial, um, uh, and spiritual.
Yeah.
And I think that we as a people, you know, we normalize trauma to the point to where we don't even recognize it as trauma. We just operate in it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about earlier, like you can't hold yourself accountable or even acknowledge that there's a problem when you don't see it as a problem, you know. And so that's basically what the platform is going to be about.
Yeah.
That's what the business is going to be about, is just being able to educate myself, and then put myself in a position to provide opportunity, and then try to give that same knowledge back, you know, to the people.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was talking to my brother last night. I'm 53,
Hmm.
so we're in a generation of sweeping under the rug. It's like everything that happened that took place with us, and we went through a lot of trauma,
Right.
and it was like we don't talk about that. No, we don't discuss that. Okay, yeah, he did that to you, but we're not going to talk about it. So it's like I'm the baby of my family, and I was the one, the black sheep, of course, on the edge. Like, no, we talking about this.
Hmm.
Like,
Right.
but it affected us in such a way, like, it's just like you said, we don't talk about it, we don't deal with it, and we never heal from it, and then we just continue to pass it on to our children, so it just keeps spiraling out of control.
Right.
But luckily this generation now, you guys are in a great awakening. That's what I call it. This is the great awakening right now, because you guys have so much access to information that you guys are able to, see things in a different light than we did.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So let's talk about this ego.
Okay.
Let's talk about this ego. So, like I said, and I'm not gonna like name names or anything like that, but I just feel like when it comes to black men being in leadership positions, I feel like a lot of them operated so much in ego where it kind of drowned the message. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you and I had a really great conversation on that. So I really, really want you to, first of all, kind of we'll talk about, how, what we talked about as far as leadership and ego and what that looks like. Because I think that's like the main point that we got to get across, is that the reason why it's hard for us as a people to have leadership is because it always ends up with too much ego, and we're not passing information to other people. We're trying to keep stuff for ourselves.
Hmm.
But it's like if we're doing that, then we're trying to put ourselves on that leader tries to put themselves on a pedestal rather than spreading wealth of information. So give me, let's break this down.
Well, I think the first thing, one of the things that my grandfather told me, that stuck with me, and I started to come to the understanding on, is that you focus 10% on the problem, and then 90% on the solution.
Mm.
And as I'm starting to come into myself, I'm starting to understand that on a different level. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the conversation should start where did we get that from,
Okay.
right? And with us, I believe it's called um, I think it pretty much stems from uh, like slavery,
Yeah.
if you want to keep it a buck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of things that we've taken on, and we've embodied, because of where that came from,
Yeah.
right? So when you look at ego, ego is not really who you are, right? Ego is a mask that you put on, right? And to me, I think it comes down to um, your desire to gain power back,
Mm-hmm.
because it's based in fear,
Yeah.
right? And then when you look at what that looks like, um, we have to acknowledge the fact that we have systematically um, been the victims of white superiority,
Mm-hmm.
um, and we've passed off certain traumas that we got from generations before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So watching I was watching a video, and it was saying how we hold 12 generations worth of trauma in our blood,
Mm.
right? And this information is why we respond to things and we react to certain things, and we don't even know why,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that goes back to acknowledging where the
Mm.
problem actually comes from.
Yeah.
You kind of hinted towards something earlier with having a scarcity mentality,
Mm-hmm.
and that scarcity mentality feeds directly into that,
Yeah.
right? Because we come from redlining, we come from Jim Crow laws, we come from all these different things. So I think that especially as black men, right? Because we need a way to be validated in a sense, because of the things that we experienced,
Yeah.
right? So I think we're a little bit more sensitive to responding from an ego sense, right?
Okay.
And then that's perpetuated by the environments that we're in. You know, I do believe that how we react to things and how we see things are based primarily off of three principles. That's the things that we experience, how we're nurtured, and the environment that we're nurtured in.
Yeah.
Right? And I think a lot of times we have a pride about that.
Okay.
You know, and I think that's where we kind of shift, and we lose sight of how all of that feeds into self-indulgence, narcissism, all the characteristics that embody ego.
Yeah.
Right? So
Let me ask you a question. So I heard you say, it was about fear. And do you think, like, I know one time during Coffee and Conversation, we talked about fear of leadership because of what we've seen in the past. But do you think sometimes a lot of black men are acting in their ego out of fear? And maybe they, kind of pump themselves up a little bit more to look to be something more than they are? And do you think that could be a result of maybe some type of fear?
yeah, I think that and and the basis of that is just, just trying to get your power back,
Mm.
or your sense of power, and a lot of times we can put ourselves in positions
Mm-hmm.
that we're not ready for, and that has an overall effect on how we deal with ourselves and other people as well. Because I mean, if you look at it, we have a bunch of leaders, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there's a genuine approach to wanting to help your people,
Yeah.
right? But um, it's it's solely based off of, okay, what I'm saying, I want to be the one that you know that that is the I guess the face,
Mm-hmm.
or the one that's in control of that, right?
Yeah.
And we're not actually properly prepared for it, because either A, that's not our lane,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or B, because we just operate in that high level of ego, to where it's like, um, I want to be the main one that people come to. I want to be the main one that people that people look at.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said earlier, that's really what social media is, right?
Yeah.
It's a facade,
Yeah.
and that's what ego is. Ego is a facade. It's a
Mm-hmm.
mask, and it's easy to hide behind that mask, um, and essentially be something that you're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
because I think, honestly, in my opinion, the reason why we don't have great leadership, and this is not to, to down any of our leaders of the past. Of course, we love and respect all of them, but I believe ego keeps them from building up prototypes. So
mhm.
just imagine if we had 50 Malcolms, if we had 50 Martins, if we had, you know what I'm saying? Like we had all these different people that had the same, they talk the same and act the same and delivered the same message. You know what I mean? It's like then we'd be in a position like you could kill one, but you can't kill all of us, so then the message will continue to go on.
Right.
But like you said, one person wants to be the one, like I'm the deliverer, I'm the one that's going to deliver this message. And I think that's where we fall into the problem of having great leadership because of ego, because you want to be the man, you want to be that top person,
Hmm.
so do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Or it could just be like, sometimes you have an unexpected predecessor. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's not even that individual.
Mm-hmm.
It's people around that individual that sees that person as a threat. They see
Mm.
that person as somebody that's like coming for the throne, so to speak. You
Mm.
know, and I think that that goes back to what we were saying before. Like, you have to be able to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And like for me, I love coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
I love coming up with with being able to see something in others
Mm-hmm.
and be like, yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
And so for me, like I exert more energy in other people, which is probably why I'm not- I'm the go-to person.
Yeah.
But then when you look at me, it's kind of like, okay, bro, but like what you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
where's your body of work at?
Yeah.
My body of work is the energy that I'm giving other people. But what I'm starting to realize now, through meditation and
Mm-hmm.
then just understanding myself, understanding my life path, understanding my personality type, understanding my purpose.
Yeah.
Here lately, I want to say 2023, like
Mm-hmm.
the beginning part of 2023 is when I actually started. Actually, no, I want to say a little bit before that.
Okay.
It is when I found that, and I think also surrounding yourself around the right type of people.
Yeah.
Whether you're directly connected to them
Mm-hmm.
or indirectly connected to them. Because one of the things that I did was I wanted to control the way that the algorithms on social media provides me information,
Okay.
right? So I started following certain types of people.
Mm-hmm.
I would go in and I would make sure that I certain ads and stuff that popped up, I'd be like, nah, I don't want to see that.
Right.
So, for me, it's people like 19 Keys. For me, it's people like Derek Grace. For me, it's people like Billy Carson. For me, it's people like Yaki,
Yeah.
Yada, and so many other people,
Mm-hmm.
right? That feeds my ideas and concepts, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because my Facebook and my Instagram, it's gonna look totally different than other people's. Because
right.
I'm following people, same people. I listen to 19 Keys. Billy Carson is like, for me,
That man's
he's
a
deep.
problem.
He's
Yeah,
deep.
hey, look, that man is a problem.
He's
Yeah,
deep. But I will forever love Tupac. And Tupac said, "I might not change the world, but I'm
hmm
gonna spark the mind that will." You know what I'm saying? So he saw this on such a deeper level. He wasn't looking at himself just as a rapper of that time. He
right.
was looking at him, sparking up the next person. We was just talking about this about Dr. Sebi too. You know what I'm saying? Like Dr. Sebi may have brought, he introduced us to a concept
It's a
that
relay. It's a relay.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
exactly. So, it's like then it continues to go on, but now we could get other people to stand up and do the same things and deliver the same messages and like Yaki, the information now he's taken Dr. Sebi's teachings and now he's gone, and he's done it by 10, you know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
now he's got different concepts to it
hmm
and more science behind it and more, he's educated himself in a different realm other than how Dr. Sebi did, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So,
absolutely.
yeah, so I feel like, once we really kind of understand that, it's like, I grew up in a time where they was like, the game is to be sold, not told, but that way of thinking, look at where it's gotten us.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I love hip hop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, it's so misleading
Yeah.
in the way that we say certain things,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it sounds good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But from a holistic and just you know broader perspective,
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily serve the whole,
Mm-mm.
right? So it's kind of like what I was telling you guys in the coffee and conversations. One of the things that I I take on now is Ubuntu,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is I am because we are,
Yeah.
right? So like when you start to see the world bigger than you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's kind of like
Wait, quick. And where is that derived from? Ubuntu. What language is that?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I do a lot of reading.
Okay.
I'm gonna get back to you.
Okay, that's
I'm
fine.
I'm I'm
Because
gonna
I just
drop it. I'm gonna drop it in the YouTube when we replay this.
Yeah, I just had to
Uh,
start looking into the Bantu tribes and really realizing what the Bantu tribes were because I had a conversation strike up about that. So,
yeah,
so it sounds like something maybe in the nature of that.
yeah. But so I was having a conversation with somebody earlier to kind of like piggyback off of that idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I was saying was that you know I think ego to me it's like it's a little you can kind of get caught up in it real swift.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, without even realizing it. Because I think that, like, if somebody says something like, well, you know, I'm secure in my family,
Yeah.
like I think that's genuine. I think that the idea of that is genuine.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you're like, yo, I'm gonna take care of my family, like anybody else that's in the way, it is what it is.
Okay.
Right? And I think it sounds good, right? But when you really look at it from a bigger perspective, like when you hoard a lot of resources, right? And you keep that exclusively for you and your personal circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you're in the process of doing that and the people in your circle haven't yet been able to, you know, take on that same type of energy,
Yeah.
right? And you're no longer there
Mm-hmm.
to actually make that secure,
Yeah.
right? So ultimately, without even realizing it, is you leave them vulnerable to a future that they don't necessarily understand how to control, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of like somebody putting in enough, you know, they have a good body of work
Yeah.
when it comes down to everything that they've been able to build as far as their own personal estate, right?
Yeah.
And then they're gone. You leave a will,
Mm-hmm.
but the people that you leave the money to in the will don't understand how you got there,
Yeah.
right?
Or maybe,
So then they get that inheritance,
uh-huh.
and then within a matter of a month, a year, a couple years, however much it was, they done squandered it away,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's not in the idea of, okay, let me go ahead and get everything that I can, and anybody that's in the way, oh well,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Because now you have to kind of look at it and say, okay, well, what type of energy are you putting out there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And just think, like, say you leave this, like, you just want to leave it exclusively to your family, and then suppose your kids or whoever you leave it to, what if they're not on the same path as you?
Right.
You know, what if they see things differently than you, and they don't carry out your wishes the way that you want it to be carried out? You know, then you missed an opportunity to put something out there that could have been useful to the community as a whole.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Rather than, and I'm not saying don't protect your family and don't leave, you know, don't leave, you know, your wealth to your family. But what I am saying is that you know, I think what we have to start doing is properly planning and making sure that we have processes in place, so that if we, you know, if we even think that our children are not going to carry out things the way that we want it done, then we start training other people as well. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. Like, I think with Black people, we never want to invite people into our circle, because, you know, we'd be like, my circle is as small as the dot on this pinky finger right here. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I get it, because, you know, we've been through so much with each other. But I think that's what's holding us back, is the fact that we don't like to expand our circle. You know, so it's like, I know it's tribe building, and we talked about that too. You know, and finding the tribe that fits you. You know, it's like, okay, you got this this talent, you could do this. You know, and you know this information, so you can add this to the tribe. So it's like building that tribe of people that all are, you know, kind of on the same path, you know, and all, you know, going for the same, you know, but not having a leader per se. Everybody is a leader in their field. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that, of course, then that just excludes ego out of it completely. Because if you're good at agriculture, then you handle that part. And if you're good at construction, then you handle this part. And if you're good at educating the kids, then you handle that part. You know what I'm saying? So everybody has their roles that they're playing, which every role is significant and equal to the other. You know what I mean? And I feel like, to me, that does remove some of the ego, because now you don't have that one person standing up like, you know, I'm king, you know, listen to me. You know what I'm saying?
But that's also based off of a person's ability to, you know, be okay with where they are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think a
That
lot
part.
of times people, you know, again, with social media, it puts us in a position where you're easily exposed to what other people are able to accomplish, and it's a microwave type of mentality where it's like, okay, well, you know, it's kind of like you see these reels on IG, right?
Yeah.
And a person becomes an expert in that short amount of time because they know that, okay, well, if I squeeze this much information in here, yeah, what I'm saying has a certain level of truth to it,
Yeah.
right? But at the same time, it's misleading because it's like, okay, but you're not telling people how to get to that point,
Yeah.
right? You're using UCC codes and saying that, okay, well, I can, you can write this off. You don't necessarily have to pay this bill, but you're not telling people, the steps that they need to get to become sovereign. You're not explaining to them about, how to properly emancipate yourself from the government.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Oh, I hear so much
all the
information when it comes to that.
yeah, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Being able to claim your nationality. You're not talking about none of this stuff, but because you can do a quick little reel and you can spit out some UCC codes, you know what I'm saying? Now all of a sudden you're an expert.
Yeah.
And I think going back again, that's the ego. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's people being able to hide behind a mask and not living to their true purpose,
Yeah.
which is going to get you to that point where you can say, like me, I told my little brother, like I acknowledge the fact that my brother is the warrior when it comes down to our family on my mom's side. Like, I don't have any quarrels about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a thinker and I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
Yeah.
That I pride myself on that. So like when it comes down, if something was to pop off, I'm expecting my brother to step up in the front,
Yep.
but I got his back.
Yep.
We going in together, but I'm following his lead.
Because he gonna run out, but you gonna think about the move.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna think about it, and I'm gonna try to get him. I'm gonna try to catch him first, and be like, hold up, bro. You know what I'm saying? Let's evaluate the situation.
Yeah.
Now, if the situation happens to go further than what it needs to be, you know what I'm saying? Then I'm expecting for him to step into that role because I trust his strategy. I trust the fact that he understands, how to handle that situation from a physical standpoint. You know what I'm saying? We both going in,
Yeah.
but I'm okay with him leading. And I believe the reverse is true because we have conversations all the time where he'll come and he'll ask me different things. And, he trusts the fact that, hey, look, I'm thinking about this. Like I'm going to be that voice of reason. I'm going to help you look at it from varying degrees.
Yeah.
And we're going to figure this thing out. You know what I'm saying? So I'm building him up in the same token that he can build me up. But that comes on his end. He's not operating in ego because he's okay with me being a thinker.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not operating in my ego because I'm okay with him being a warrior.
Yeah.
I don't have any quarrels with that. Now, if I have to stand on my own, of course I'm going to step up. You see what I'm saying? I don't have a choice. I'm a man. I have to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think that yeah, I mean, I feel like you made a beautiful point. And the fact that when we look at it as a tribal thing, we don't necessarily have to agree. But if we have another tribe that's coming to try to offset us, and create an imbalance within our ecosystem that we have to make sure that everybody plays to their strong suits.
Yep.
We can't have anybody that's in there that doesn't understand their position, you know what I'm saying, and then feeling like, well, I mean, because we see it all the time. Going back to your example that you had earlier, when we look at certain individuals, whether you're looking at Muammar Gaddafi, if you're looking at Idi Amin, and so many others, right? On the surface level, because we've been given an idea of what these men were, you know what I'm saying, who they were,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, to justify somebody else's agenda, right? We look at them a certain type of way. But then when you read their storyline and you see, okay, they were basically trying to unify Africa and they were trying to get us back to a place of balance.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? But then you had other people that either wanted their position that wasn't properly ready for that position, and so they allowed themselves to be a tool, right? Nipsey Hussle,
Yeah.
right? We allow ourselves to become a tool and a prop to somebody else to further their own personal agenda, and we're trying to knock somebody off that we feel like is in our way.
Yep.
And then once we get to that position, like we don't even know what to do with it.
Yeah.
You know
exactly.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think it's big. It's definitely a multifaceted conversation, but the basis of it is removing those characteristics of selfishness, scarcity, all these different ideas and these frameworks that we create in our mind that locks us in. It has to be a paradigm shift
Yeah.
in order for us to get to that next level. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Because it's bigger than us,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, because really, what you just said, like how you and your brother operate, that's it's beauty in motion to have that, like a cooperative leadership,
mhm,
in place where it's like, one knows that he's the power, the warrior, and then one knows that he's the thinker, and it's like if we can get to a level where people are in like we're cooperating and we're, thinking on these certain levels like that, and we're able to remove selfishness and remove, like all the things that fuel the ego, and start thinking of the bigger picture, then we can start, moving in a way that's going to be more productive to us, and it removes the fear of, having a one leader and having them kill that one leader if they start to get too big or whatever, because now you've got everybody that's working in cooperation. We're all doing the same thing, you know what I'm saying?
right.
So I think that was really, really good what you just said about how you and your brother operate. And I think that, I think as a whole we need to start looking at each other as brothers and sisters, and start operating in that way. So, and I know it's like you said, multifaceted conversations and so many layers that need to be torn
Yeah.
down, and it's like so much that needs to take place before we can even get to these levels, but it starts with stuff like this, just having these conversations and, getting it out there. I think that coffee and conversation has been really great because it has put us in a position where we start talking about moving forward and what are we going to do. And, we don't just sit there and have conversations about this stuff. We're really looking for solutions on what we need to
Right.
do to start pushing the black community to, first of all, have more unity with each other and start coming together and figuring out, what it's going to look like. We need to look at what our future is going to look like. We can't just continue to live in this country the way that we're living. And then, even going back to what you said about hip hop, I love hip hop, but then of course, the message, of course, they're on an agenda, so we have to be careful of what we're listening to and what's being fed into us. But I come from a time where hip hop was sending, we had all the we had all the conscious rappers. We had them, they were waking us up and they was really feeding our minds, and they gave us so much. And of course, the industry saw that they didn't want us waking up like that, so they silenced all of them and they gave us all this stuff that we have today. But I
Right.
feel like we are getting, like kind of doing a 360. History is always going to repeat itself if we don't fix it, so we're going to come back around to these different levels. So
And this and kind of like what we were talking about earlier before we came in. Um, for me, uh, having that conversation that I had earlier today, it's a lot of times we can't really see, um, we can't really see the big picture. So it's like, um, when I was first learning how to play chess,
mm-hmm.
I had a lot of older guys. They was like, "Man, I'm not playing you. You gonna make my game bad." And I was like, "What? How am I supposed to learn?" You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And what I started realizing as I was watching the game is even the best misses a move,
Mm.
right? And the reason why that is because while you're in the moment of strategizing, right? When you're at war, a lot of times you don't have the ability to see things from a bigger picture because you have an objective in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's a lot of things that's going on. But for the people that's on the outside and they're not under that pressure
Mm-hmm.
of being able of having to actually make those moves,
Yeah.
um, in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
they're able to see things that you miss,
Yeah. Outside
right?
looking in.
Right. So, I think a lot of times we miss that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was telling the individual earlier, like, okay, if the idea is that we were in enslavement for 500
400.
plus 400
400
plus
plus years.
years,
Yeah.
right? Um, and then I mean 1886, Juneteenth, June 19th,
Yeah.
1886, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at that and you run them numbers, right? You're looking at, let's say, 100, and then what's that? 117, about 117, somewhere around there,
Uh-huh.
right? I mean, when you look at that and you correlate that to, um, infancy,
Mm-hmm.
adolescence,
Yeah.
teenager, grown up, right? I mean, we're still in the beginning stages.
Yeah, we babies.
But then when you look at what we've been able to accomplish in the process of that,
Mm-hmm.
like it's easy to miss how much growth we have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then it's also easy to kind of overlook the fact that, like, going back to the relay,
Yeah.
right? We might be on the third leg.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You might not see who crosses that finish line,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we're still 3/4 of the way.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we have to continue to kind of look at that and say, okay, I can appreciate where we're at because I can see where we came from,
Yeah.
right?
Like in trauma, you always look at all the bad of everything that happened, but you never look at the good. So if you do go back and, stop focusing on what the bad was and start looking at what the good was that came out of it, then we can start focusing on that a little bit more. And then it gives you a little bit more enlightenment to look towards the future. So,
Hmm.
so we're gonna wrap this thing up. I hate that we wrapping up because this was such a good conversation. I feel like we could just talk like this forever.
Yeah,
So,
you made it comfortable.
oh,
'Cause
good, good,
I
good.
am,
I know.
I am not that guy.
I
You know what I'm
know.
saying?
I
I can
know.
catch you on a one-on-one, but yeah,
I was like, don't worry
it's
about it.
something
Nah,
about
you
yeah,
good. Don't worry about it. Come on.
yeah.
So, all right. So, let me get your final thoughts on, on what the conversation today is and what we need to do to move forward, because that's what I always want to leave us with is what we need to do to move forward.
Seeing life is bigger than you. I shared this with you guys,
Mm-hmm.
and this is just how I look at it, right? Um, if you if you were to die and you were to be reborn 5 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
is the life that you live and the decisions that you make setting your future self up
Mm-hmm.
to be in a better position? If you honestly answer that and you say that there's nothing that I'm doing that would actually help, me in the future
Mm-hmm.
coming back, then you need to reevaluate where
Yeah.
you're at, you
Man,
know. So,
that's
and
good.
that to me is selfless in itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's operating outside of the ego,
Yeah.
because when you can look at how what you're doing today can affect the future,
Yeah.
whether that's your family or your community, then then that takes away, and that eliminates characteristics of ego.
Okay. Y'all heard that. Future planning. Think about yourself five years from now, and think about, are you making moves today that's gonna benefit you 5 years from now? That's it. That's a simple. 5 years is easy. Because really you could be looking 5 years, 10 years. There's people that's planning their generations out hundreds of years from now. You know what I'm
Jewish
saying?
community.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
So let's start there. Let's start with 5 years. Take a look at yourself today and see if what you're doing today is it gonna benefit you in 5 years from now. So, all right, and then just real quick, how do people find you? I know you listen. I know you're getting new to the social media thing,
Yeah, listen.
but are we finding you yet, or are we saving that for another day?
No, actually, to be honest with you, that's why I appreciate Coffee and Conversation so much, is because what it's doing is it's allowing me to see that, like, hey, I'm not alone in this thing,
Yeah.
right? And that there are people out there that are like you and a couple other people that I met in Coffee and Conversations that have good platforms and stuff like that. So yeah, so on social media, it's Black Silk LLC, BLAQ, Silk SILK LLC. You can definitely catch me on there.
And we'll put it in the comments too.
Yeah,
I'll make
and
sure that
hopefully I
everybody
can
has it.
have access to the live, so that way I can kind of throw that in there too. But
Absolutely.
yeah, so
Yeah, I'll tell you
y'all
how to
bear with me,
donate.
because I'm trying to get used to this social media
Nah,
thing.
you
Like,
did good, man.
yeah,
Also, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your time. I really would like to get you back again whenever you feel comfortable. Come on, let's vibe again like this, because I feel like it's a lot of good information that we could put out to our listeners.
absolutely.
Yep. So before I go again, don't forget about Get Mossed. So we're actually going to be on 88.1 On the 24th, it's Monday, and I'll be talking about Get Mossed In. So remember, that's our energy drink, all natural herbs made with sea moss and natural ingredients. Get Moss 369 on Instagram. And then also, you can go follow me on Facebook. I have so many Facebooks, but just under my name, ELLENA Smith or Elevate Life, and also on Instagram, still under Easy Days underscore Wellness. So that's it. We'll come back next week, and we'll have some more topics to talk about. If you guys think of something interesting you want me to talk about, let me know, and we'll get to it. But until then, remember, let's keep elevating Black America. Let's elevate us, and let's start progressing, and let's start seeing ourselves in a better light than what we see ourselves in today. All right. All right. See y'all next week.